Right. The alien princess thought she alone came from a Deathworld, until a human proved otherwise. Beginning. The court of Caraxes was hushed, its vaulted ceilings lined with crystalline banners that shimmered with soft iridescence. Diplomats from across the Orion cluster stood at respectful attention, their bodies bent or kneeling in deference to the alien figure at the center of the hall. Princess Zaret of Dathian was not merely royalty, she was a living embodiment of survival itself. Her homeworld, Dathian, was infamous throughout the galaxy. Labeled a death world by every interstellar survey, its gravity was triple standard norm, its atmosphere dense with toxic gases, and its surface littered with apex predators evolved to hunt in perpetual twilight storms. Most species did not last minutes upon setting foot there, yet Zaret had been born, raised, and hardened within its brutal embrace. Her very presence among them was a marvel. She stood taller than most humanoids, her lean frame corded with muscle, her violet eyes burning with the intensity of one who had stared down death since birth. Though she carried herself with grace, Zaret's heart often ached with isolation. She had always believed herself to be an anomaly, perhaps the only sentient being forged in such conditions who could thrive beyond them. Other species whispered Deathworlder as though it were both curse and crown. She wore the title proudly, yet loneliness gnawed at her. None could truly understand what it meant to grow up fighting the air you breathed, the soil you trod, and the very sky above. That day, the Great Court convened to welcome a new contingent of delegates from the Terran Confederacy, humans. They arrived late, striding into the hall without the elaborate processions favored by other species. Among them walked an unassuming man, shorter than most, his brown hair in disarray as though he had stepped out of a storm. His name was Commander Elias Vane. Zaret studied him as she always studied newcomers, measuring strength, weighing fragility. His gait was steady but not proud, his uniform crisp but worn at the elbows. His eyes were not the glowing orbs of a genetically altered noble, nor the multifaceted brilliance of insectoid royalty. Yet when his gaze briefly met hers across the hall, something in it struck her, a steadiness, almost feral, that reminded her home. For the first time in years, the princess found herself curious. Middle. Elias did not seek attention, but attention often found him. Within hours of his arrival, tales began to circulate among the court servants. Whispers of Earth, the cradle of humanity. It was said their planet was a crucible of violence, where evolution had sculpted predators with razor teeth, diseases that devoured flesh, climates that swung from infernal heat to glacial cold. To most civilized species, it sounded like yet another death world. Zaret dismissed the gossip. Surely, she thought, no world could rival Dathian's mercilessness. Yet curiosity burned until she sought Elias out herself. Their first meeting was in the Hall of Gardens, where exotic flora from across the galaxy grew under artificial suns. Zaret approached with the practiced poise of royalty, but her words cut with the sharpness of challenge. "I have heard," she began, "that your people claim survival in a hostile world. Tell me, Commander, do you know what it means to drink air laced with toxins, to hunt beasts with claws larger than your body, to walk where gravity itself seeks to crush you?" Elias regarded her for a long moment before answering. His voice was calm, but his words carried weight. "On Earth, we breathe oxygen, but sometimes it kills us with fire. Our predators are cunning. They stalked us before we had tools. We have fought cold that freezes flesh in minutes, heat that dries blood to dust, diseases invisible to the eye. My ancestors did not have armor or palaces. They had only sharp rocks and desperation. And yet, we thrived." Zaret felt her heart stutter. His words were not boastful, not exaggerated for effect. They were delivered with the steady conviction of lived experience. She pressed further. "And what did this thriving cost your kind?" Elias's eyes darkened. "Wars that scarred our world. Extinctions we cause ourselves, but also resilience. We are not the strongest, nor the fastest, but on a death world, survival often belongs to the clever, not the mighty." For the first time, Zaret felt the fragile walls of her pride tremble. Could it be that humans, too, carried the burden she thought unique to her people? Their conversations deepened over the weeks. In private chambers, away from the prying ears of courtiers, they exchanged tales of hardship. Zaret spoke of hunting shadow beasts whose hides were harder than steel, of nights when storms hurled lightning as thick as trees. Elias spoke of ancient humans who tamed fire in caves while predators circled outside, of diseases like the Black Plague, of deserts that swallowed empires whole. She began to see in him not merely a diplomat, but an equal, one forged by different but no less brutal fires. Still, doubt gnawed at her. She had seen soft world before whose people exaggerated their struggles. Perhaps humans were merely dramatists, weaving myths of their hardships to impress others. That doubt was shattered during the siege of Caraxes. The court world, neutral and proud of its supposed safety, found itself suddenly attacked by a marauding fleet of the Zytherian swarm. The sky turned crimson with fire as spore ships rained down monstrous war beasts into the capital. Panic spread through the streets. Nobles fled into bunkers, leaving guards to perish. Zaret did not flee. She stood at the palace gates, plasma spear in hand, her heart roaring with the battle lust of Dathian's warrior queens. When the Zytherian beast crashed through the defenses, she leapt forward, striking with precision, her muscles straining against their massive forms. And then she saw Elias. No armor adorned him, no noble weapon gleamed in his hands. He carried only a standard-issue rifle and the unshakable will of his kind. Yet he fought with a ferocity that stunned even her. He moved with ruthless efficiency, targeting weak joints, exploiting patterns, adapting with terrifying speed. When a beast nearly crushed him beneath its bulk, he rolled free, his face streaked with blood, his jaw set like iron. At his side, Zaret felt something she had never known before. Not loneliness, not superiority, but kinship. Together they fought through the night. Her strength and his cunning formed an unbreakable rhythm, each covering the other, each trusting the other. By dawn, when the Zytherian ships retreated, their alliance had saved hundreds. The people of Caraxes hailed them both as saviors. But for Zaret, the true revelation was not victory, it was Elias himself. He had proven beyond doubt that humans were no pretenders. They, too, were children of a Deathworld. Ending. In the aftermath, the court returned to its usual intrigues and posturing, but Zaret no longer looked at them the same way. Their silken robes and jewel crowns seemed flimsy compared to the scars on Elias's arms, compared to the stories etched into his eyes. One evening, beneath the star-strewn dome of the palace, she spoke plainly. All my life, I thought myself singular, the lone heir of a world that birthed only warriors and survivors. But now I see I am not alone. Elias gave a faint, tired smile. Earth is far from perfect, princess.